Hey guys, welcome to this latest episode of the show. As you already know, I'm your host Muface. First episode of year 2026. I want to start off by wishing you guys a happy new year. Nothing but the best for you and your families. Truly appreciate the support. Let's just continue to grow this channel. I actually created a secondary channel where I'm gonna be putting my French and soccer content. So if anybody is interested in liking in these type of contents, please, I'm gonna put the channel link in the video. So go ahead and subscribe, and if you just want to support, just go ahead and subscribe as well. I truly appreciate every single subscription, and I'm grateful for it. So as you already know, please continue to like the videos, share them. Let us know what you think. Comment, subscribe to the channel as well. A lot has been going on lately in the NBA. We're gonna go over the trades that have happened. Pretty much just one trade, the Trae Young trade, and also the rumors that have been going around the league as well. And then we're gonna go over the standings in the league as well. All right, so first and foremost, the Trae Young trade to the Washington Wizards for Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum, with no picks involved. I think that was a very interesting trade. The rumors was there that it was Trae Young's preferred destination. I'm assuming probably also because that was the team that was probably guaranteeing him an extension. So I'm glad for him that he might be able to get that extension, because ultimately you always want guys to get paid. So I'm happy for Trae if he does get that extension with him, with the Wizards rather. Besides that, I think in terms of fate, I would have liked Trae to be on a contending team, but it seems like the demand was not out there, which is quite surprising to me, because Trae Young is a very good player. But he has the opportunity to now cement his legacy with another team. I don't think they would be contending for a championship anytime soon, but he has the ability to bring them back to relevancy, and that's a very interesting challenge in some ways as well. There's a lot of good pieces on that Washington team, whether it's Alex Sar, that I think he's gonna definitely elevate and make a better player, but also the young guards that they have there, whether it's Trey Johnson, Bob Carrington, young guys like Bilal Coulibaly. I think there's a good nucleus there that they're obviously gonna continue to add on with the draft coming, and guys like Carlos Boozer and AJ DeBonta coming out of that draft too. So it's gonna be interesting to see what direction the Wizards go this offseason. Obviously they're in a rebuild mode, but having a guy like Trae as a centerpiece now might actually accelerate that rebuild. And as long as Trae is happy, I'm happy for him. So congrats on the Wizards too on going ahead and making a move like that. They're still gonna have pretty decent cap space with Chris Middleton also coming off the books this offseason. So I think they'll be able to make some additional moves, and why not within the next 2-3 years maybe become the Detroit Pistons of a year or two ago, where nobody's really expecting them to be relevant, but they find a way to make some noise in the East. So congrats to the Wizards for that acquisition, without necessarily having to give up too much. Obviously they expiring contracts, so that works for the Hawks too, that would be able to have some cap space this offseason. Obviously they didn't feel comfortable giving Trae that extension, and are focusing back on Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels right now as the focal players in Atlanta. So they get CJ McCollum, very good veteran, very good point guard who can still be serviceable in this league. I think he's gonna be good for them. He can give you a scoring punch, whether it's coming off the bench or in the starting lineup. So I like that for the Hawks. I like the addition of Corey Kispert too, who seemed to be very important in the trade. That was a a requirement for Atlanta allegedly. So that's also very good. He's a very sharp shooter who can also give you, a good scoring punch off the bench or in the starting lineup. So pretty fair and good trade on both ends, I believe. So only the future will be able to tell exactly who won the trade in these instances, and based on what the future moves are. But I like it for both teams so far. So that's pretty much what I have on that Trae Young trade. Rumors are out there that Ja Morant would also probably be traded by the deadline, which is February 5th. Very interesting situation out there, because just like Trae Young, I don't think the market is crazy open for Ja, especially because of all the off the court issues and the injuries that he had lately. So it's gonna be interesting to see where he goes. I've been hearing a lot of rumors towards Miami and him allegedly purchasing a property out there, even though that could just be, a rental property or something that he wants for his off season, because it's Miami. But yeah, we'll be closely watching that. I think that would be a good fit for him. I believe in Miami. I'm not sure where else he can really go and fit the number one role per se on a contending team, or a team that could become a contender once he joins them. So we'll see how it goes. I definitely think, I've said it in my previous videos, it was time for him to go look for greener pastures. I think his time at Memphis had probably expired, and it was time to just pivot and see if he can get another spark in any other team in the NBA. So we'll be watching that. And obviously the news also broke that Jonathan Kuminga requested a trade from the Golden State Warriors. I think it was long overdue. I truly like how Kuminga has handled all the nonsense that he had to deal with in Golden State so far. Didn't really cause any chaos. He's remained professional, wait until he was trade eligible, and just put in a trade request. He's not getting any playing time. He's a young player with a lot of talent who is trying to consistently play and be the focal point, number one or number two option on the team. So his development is his priority right now, and I totally understand why he put in a trade request. So hopefully they're able to find a good destination for him, and the Warriors are also able to get something back in return for JK, and he finds happiness elsewhere, since Steve Kerr doesn't seem to like his profile and his fit on the Warriors. So a couple of teams that I think would be a good fit for Jonathan Kuminga are probably the Chicago Bulls. I believe a trade with Chicago for a guy like Vucevic going back to the Warriors, for instance, could be very interesting, because it gives the Warriors that size that they're still lacking of, and that perimeter shooting also in the big, and the rebounding ability of Vucevic is pretty decent as well. So I think that could be a good option, and then he's gonna be able to grow with guys like Josh Giddey in Chicago, and Matas Buzelis and all the young guys that they have out there. I think that could be a good fit for him. I've been hearing about the Sacramento Kings also, that are probably going to get into a rebuild mode soon. I think Brooklyn could be a good option if the Warriors are able to get a guy like Nick Claxton back, for instance. That could be a good fit. Miami also, I believe, can be a good fit for the Warriors, but I'm not sure what they will be able to get back from Miami, as I don't think Bam Adebayo is on the market. They might just need to have a third team involved on that end, if that's the route that he's going with. I think that the Portland Trail Blazers could also be a good fit for him. I think what he needs to prioritize at this point of his career is constant playing time, being able to hone his skills and continue to get better and develop, and then the money part is going to come later on. I know he's eyeing on a long-term extension and secure his future, but I think playing time is also very important for JK in his next move, and hopefully the Warriors do good by him by at least rewarding his behavior by sending him to a destination of his choice where he's gonna be able to play consistently. That's pretty much what I have for the trade rumors. We're gonna now go over the standings and what's been going on in the league in terms of plays and games. The Eastern Conference, you have the Detroit Pistons that are 28-10, comfortably number one seed in the East. As I expected, I knew they were gonna have a very good season. I have them, within the conference finals or possibly the NBA finals representing the East. I think that young core is really getting good throughout the years, and I'm really excited to see what they do by the trade deadline. I still believe they would need, one more shooter to help with that team, and I believe a guy like Michael Porter Jr. could be a good option for the Pistons. They already have Duncan Robinson, but I think an extra shooter at the disposal of Cade Cunningham and the way he's playing would definitely do wonders for the Pistons, especially in the playoffs. So that's what I think the Pistons should do. They're playing a very good brand of basketball, focused on defense and toughness. And they're just getting better every game. I like that for them. The Knicks are the second seed in the East. Also had them in that tier one at the beginning of the season. So even though they've been up and down and losing some games that they weren't supposed to lose, they still managed to be the second seed for now. Jalen Brunson unfortunately went down recently in the game and is gonna miss some games. Karl Anthony Towns hasn't really been performing very well lately, and Mike Brown is just gonna have to find the ways to continue to win. And I know I saw a press conference of his a couple of days ago where he was basically saying, it's in these trying times, in these tough times that you have to find ways to win and build that culture and that chemistry within your organization. So I like that for them. I still think they're gonna be a contender in the East. I'm just not sure if they'll be able to make that jump to the NBA Finals, but you never know. We'll see how it goes, and especially if they happen to make any kind of moves by the deadline as well. Third seed, the Boston Celtics, which is, I'm not gonna lie, a major surprise for me. I wasn't expecting the Celtics to be in the top seeds this season with all the losses that they had this past season, with Porzingis leaving, Drew Holiday, obviously the injury of Jason Tatum. But Joe Mazzulla has found a way to just, continue to win with guys like Jaylen Brown, who's playing at a very high level. I'm loving the way JB is playing. Derek White and Peyton Pritchard and Hugo Gonzalez, Dimas Kira, they found ways with, Fanny Simons also coming off the bench, just scoring points by committee, obviously led by Jaylen Brown. But I'm really, really pleased and highly pleased with the way the Celtics are surprisingly in contention again. And then you have Jason Tatum out there also saying he hasn't completely ruled out coming back this season, so you just never know if he manages to be able to be back for the playoffs. Where is the Celtics team going to be at? But I'm still gonna keep them in that second tier in the East for now, and then we'll see how they go. Toronto Raptors, fourth seed in the East, 25-17 right now. Another good surprise. I had them in that second tier. I always thought with the addition of Brandon Ingram and obviously Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett out there, they have a good nucleus and they just need to continue to be better. There's no pressure on them, no expectation of a title. I believe within the next 2 years, if they continue to go the way they're going and drafting well and adding some pieces, they might be what Detroit has been also in the past 2 years. I really think that is possible with the Raptors. So we'll see how it goes. And for now, they're in the fourth place in the East. And the Sixers, my Philadelphia 76ers, are currently fifth with the 22-17 record. The major positive news here for the Sixers, fingers crossed, knock on wood, is the the health of Joel Embiid and Paul George, them being able to consistently being on the court right now, and obviously VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey playing at a very high level. Also, guys like Kelly Oubre and Trendon Watford coming back. That's a very deep team, which is definitely still gonna rely on Joel Embiid and Paul George to play at a high level to have any type of contention hopes. But it seems to be looking good for now. They're still gonna have some challenges with bigger teams because they're gonna test Joel Embiid's physicality and see if he's fully back. He seems to be coming back to a very good level, all-star level kind of situation. So I just hope they stay healthy. Let's see how these challenging games that they have in the next few days up until the end of the month go, and then where they're sitting at before I'm able to really have any prediction. I initially had them in the tier 2, and I still have them in that tier 2 for now in the East, and all of this is just up on contingent to Joel Embiid and Paul George's injury history, pretty much. If you were to turn off all the injuries, then I would definitely have them as a contender in the East. The Orlando Magic are the 6th seed, 23 and 18. They've been having some rough games, but still 6 in the East. I did have them in that second tier also. Possibly getting in that first tier where they might be able to get to that third or fourth seed in the East, but I'm not sure yet. There's a lot of injuries also out there, and guys coming in and out of the lineup, so we'll see how they cope. One of the biggest deceptions and disappointments of the season, the Cleveland Cavaliers, 23 and 19. They came off a major win against the Sixers where they blew them out in the building. That's very good for the morale. I don't think the season is completely over yet for them. They were part of my top tier, the number 1 tier in the East. I would probably move them back to that tier 2 for now. Hopefully they can, get all the guys back in terms of, injuries, whether it's Max Strus, Sam Merrill and the supporting cast behind Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell out there, and obviously Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. I think Mobley has been shooting too many threes recently and not really been dominant in the paint like he's been recently in the past seasons. It's been good that he added that 3-point shot to his game, but he shouldn't be settling so much for those shots, especially if they're not going in. So I still believe in Kenny Atkinson and the job that he did last season there. I've been seeing some rumblings about fans asking for him to be fired, but I don't think he has to get to that point. We'll just see how they go. The Heat are 21 and 19, 8th in the West. In the East right now. So Miami, I didn't have much expectations for them besides, them playing hard every night, because that's just the culture and that's what Eric Spoelstra is gonna have his guys do. So we'll see where the Heat end up being by the end of the season. The Hawks, 20 and 22, 8th seed. Let's see what the addition of CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert, like I said, can do to that Hawks team, and if that helps them maybe get to that top 5, top 6 in the East. The Bulls, 19 and 21. I've been saying it from the beginning of the season. I think it might be time for them to really fully rebuild. They started it with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan leaving. I think they got to move off of Nikola Vucevic and all these other old guys that they have out there that they might be able to get some picks for and fully embrace the rebuild or the retool, if you want to call it like that, between Josh Giddey, Matas Buzelis, and Noah Isenge that they drafted this year, but unfortunately is out for the season, and them young guys that they have out there. They need to figure out what they're doing with Kobe White also. Is he going to be the teammate of Giddey in the backcourt? But we'll find out. Milwaukee Bucks, I knew they were going to be bad this season. If they want to have any hope, they're the 11th seed in the East right now. And as we speak, if the playoffs were to start, they won't be in the playoffs. Giannis Antetokounmpo is struggling out there, trying his best to keep that team relevant. But like I said at the beginning of the season, they just don't have competent guards right now, and I don't think that'll be enough for them to be able to compete. It might just be time for them to maybe move off of Giannis and get some picks in returning some young players, or if he's okay with staying, you take your L for this season and try to get better next season with finding a way to get a pick if they have a first round pick. I know they're kind of struggling with their picks also, and try to draft a young player that could add some help to Giannis out there and Miles Turner. The Hornets 14-26 as expected. They're still going to be bad. A lot of young players also on that team. I think you just need to continue developing Brian Kalkbrenner that they got this offseason. Kankunupo, a very good draft pick also for the Hornets. So just keep on, developing this guy. Pick LaMelo Ball's brain. See if he wants to still be on that team, and if he wants to, then I have a feeling that within the next 2-3 years, also the Hornets might be able to make some noise in the East with Brandon Miller, Kalkbrenner, Miles Bridges, and Kankunupo. So we'll see. The Brooklyn Nets 11-27 also expected. I knew they were going to be bad. They're still in a tank mode and looking for the franchise player. The Washington Wizards 10-29. Obviously, no expectation for this season. We'll see what it looks like next season with Trae Young and the moves that they make. The Pacers 9-32. I was expecting them to be bad, not as bad as they are, with Tyrese Haliburton being out, but that might be a blessing in disguise, because that allows them to have a high pick in the next draft, and that could completely change everything when Tyrese comes back, and just bring them back to an exciting team and being able to play. But a team led by Rick Carlisle, I was expecting more effort, especially with Pascal Siakam and Benedict Mathurin and Andrew Nembhard being out there, but it hasn't been the season so far, and we'll see how it ends. On the Western Conference, the Oklahoma City Thunder 34-7, still comfortably number one in the West. They've struggled against the San Antonio Spurs. Were able to get the league back recently after losing 3 consecutive games to them. They're still comfortably at the number 1 seed. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is still playing at a very high level, MVP level. They're still gonna be, the team to beat. They're the reigning reigning champions in the NBA, so they're gonna be in contention. I like what's going on with them. They just needed to weather the storm after losing a couple of games, especially against teams that they shouldn't have lost against, but it happens to the best teams in the NBA. That's just the nature of the business. The Denver Nuggets found a way to stay afloat for now. They're still the 2nd seed, 28-13, with Nikola Jokic being out. Jamal Murray also missed some games. You had Aaron Gordon, who's also coming back now with Christian Brown. So all they need to do is just continue to find ways to win a couple more games before Jokic comes back. I heard he started on-court activities already again. And Jonas Valanciunas, the backup big, also being hurt. So hopefully they can, stay within that 2 to 5th seed up until Nikola Jokic comes back. And I have no doubt that they will be back in contention again. I have them in that tier 1 in the West, with obviously OKC, Houston, and possibly the San Antonio Spurs, with what they've been showing us from the beginning of the season. The San Antonio Spurs that I was just talking about, that are the 3rd seed, highlight is them being able to win convincingly 3 times in a row against the defending champs. Victor Wembanyama is leading that team, but the nucleus around him and these guards, whether it's De'Aaron Fox, Stephen Castle, who took another step this season, Dylan Harper coming off the bench, and the wings that they have, whether it's Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes at his old age still performing, Wemby also being that defensive anchor, and Luke Cornett, very good move from them last year to get this guy from the Celtics. He's really, really, really backing up Wemby at a very high level, and I love that dynamic that the Spurs have out there right now. Mitch Johnson is doing a terrific job, so I really love that for the Spurs, and I wouldn't be surprised if they, try to maybe keep the team as it is up until next season and still see, rather than making a move by the deadline, unless there's a guy that they really like out there. The Timberwolves 27-14. Timberwolves find a way to get back in the top of the West, but everything is so congested between the 4th and the 7th seed in the West that games matter every night. But that's really good for the Timberwolves, and Anthony Edwards out there playing very well too at a high level. So let's just see. I don't think they'll be able to be consistent throughout the season. I have them in my tier 2 or maybe like a playing team, but we'll see. The Los Angeles Lakers 24-14, 5th seed in the West right now, with Rich Paul making all these this noise out there on his podcast with the suggestion of Austin Reeves being traded, which I don't think was necessarily too crazy. I just think the fact that it comes from his mouth and his proximity with LeBron James being on the Lakers right now could be interpreted in the wrong way, but I don't have the Lakers as contenders either unless they make a move, but they're pretty restricted right now because I don't believe in the defense. I don't think they try to get Marcus Smart to be able to guard on the perimeter, but I just don't believe in the playoffs they have enough to be able to guard the best guards of any of these Western Conference teams to be able to even come out of the West. So good run for them so far, but I'm expecting them to be out in the first or second round at the most, even though they have Luka Doncic and LeBron James. The Houston Rockets 23-14, currently 6th in the East as well. I still have them as a top seed, as a tier 1 team. I truly believe they need to make a move by the deadline and get a point guard in that team. I would seriously consider Chris Paul. I think he's still a serviceable point guard for the rest of the season until Fred VanVleet comes back. Obviously, they're trying to incorporate Reed Shepherd in the lineup also. I think he could be a good mentor for him and helping in his vision of the court and all this good stuff. So that would be a move that I would make if I was the Rockets. He knows the organization. He played there in the past. And I think he could be a good mentor for these guys out there, these young guys, alongside with Kevin Durant, obviously, and Steven Adams. But I still think they'll be able to finish in that top 4 in the West and obviously be in contention for a title. The Phoenix Suns 7th in the West right now. Very good surprise. I didn't expect them to be anywhere close to what they've been showing so far. So kudos to the Suns and Devin Booker and Gillespie and all these young guys that they have out there playing well right now. Hopefully they're able to get Jalen Green back also soon from injury, and that's just going to add some more firepower to that team. And I'm now intrigued to see if they can possibly get a playing spot or that 6th seed in the West. It's really going to be interesting. Just like every year, the West is the toughest conference, and every game matters. Every game literally matters. The Golden State Warriors, disappointing season so far, 22-19. Antics from Draymond Green. I think it might be time to at least consider moving him if you happen to get somebody really interesting in return, like a Giannis Antetokounmpo or any other very good player that can help Steph Curry, because I truly believe they're wasting his time right now. Steve Kerr also being stubborn with that small ball and not going after a solid big is really disappointing. And then the treatment that they have with Jonathan Kuminga, who I personally think would have been able to bring something at least off the bench for that team when Steph is resting. Jimmy Butler seemed to have him as a mentee, but he now requested a trade, so it is what it is. Hopefully they can get something back, and not waste another year of Steph Curry's greatness on the Warriors. At least he's all he deserves is at least a chance to be able to compete late in the season when the playoffs come. The Portland Trail Blazers, ninth in the West, also didn't expect that from them. I really thought they're one or 2 years away from that they can still be very bad. It's only we almost halfway into the season, but they're doing good with what they have and everything that happened there. But kudos to the Trailblazers. No expectations per se for them. The Grizzlies 10, 17, and 23. Same thing. Ja Morant is probably gonna be out, so it might be a transition year for them up until they able to get some other pieces and a better start next season. Building around Jaren Jackson Jr. and Cedric Howard, who's actually having a very good season out there as a rookie. The Clippers, 11th in the West, 17 and 23, were able to finally string some win. I think they're on a 10 and 2 run or something like that. Kudos to them for being able to, right their ship a little bit. There's still a long way to go, but at least they now have the expectations of at least being in the plane. Kawhi Leonard is playing at a very high level also. Hopefully he can stay healthy. James Harden as well, and the return of Ivica Zubac also is helping that Clippers team. Shout out to Ty Lue for staying composed, and even though I didn't really like the treatment for Chris Paul and how they sent him home, they're finding their ways to at least get back to. I actually initially had them in my top two. Second tier in the West, probably a little bit leaning towards the first tier, because I really thought they did a good job at during the offseason with the players that they got, but unfortunately age is also catching up. Another disappointment is the Dallas Mavericks, 15 and 26. I had high expectations for them, but unfortunately injuries once again are derailing the season. Nico Harrison got fired. Anthony Davis, who's still hurt, might miss a good chunk of the rest of the season. I think Lively is out for the rest of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Then Gafford also went down again recently, so that's another year to just take as an L for the Mavs. Continue to develop Cooper Flag and see. I wouldn't even bring Kyrie Irving back, to be honest with you. Now, let him completely recover and see what you want to do with AD, who's also on the trading blocks with AD and Kyrie, either by that deadline or by the end of the season. See what you want to do, if you want to embrace a full rebuild or try to give it a shot again next year, hoping that they stay healthy. The Utah Jazz, 14 and 26, the Kings 11 and 30, and the Pels 10 and 33. Obviously, nothing expected from these three teams at the beginning of the season. They would just be tanking and try to get a good pick in next year's draft. And that New Orleans Pelicans team pick, that pick is looking good right now for the Hawks next season. So in this upcoming draft rather. So that's pretty much what I have for this episode. And once again, continue to subscribe to the channel, continue to like the videos, share them within your community, and I'll see you guys at the next episode. Ciao.